Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about the travel ban that was just issued by the government that's going to take effect on June 9th. First and foremost, welcome back to the channel. This is attorney Adrian Pandev, and I'm trying to make through these videos your life easier in navigating the US government maze that it is. In this video, like I said, we're going to try to cover the travel ban that was just issued. We're going to go over the countries that are impacted, what it means for those countries, what the difference is between the partial and the full travel ban, and everything else related to it. Now, before I start, if you have any questions or you have questions about similar topics, post them in the comments and I'll do my best to record videos. The whole goal with this channel is to just share helpful information. If I know what you're interested in, it's going to make it easier for me to record these videos. So with no further ado, let's jump right into this. So first and foremost, right, what are the countries that are impacted, right? So first I want to go over the full travel ban countries, and those countries are, and I'm going to go in alphabetical order here: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen. I'm sorry about the mispronunciations. It was hard to read and record at the same time. But basically, if you're from this list of countries, which we'll also put in the comments of this video, you have a full travel ban, right? And I'll cover exemptions in a second, but the bottom line is citizens of these countries have a full travel ban, these 12 countries. What that means is all immigrant visas, these are all the green card categories, as well as all non-immigrant visas. These are your student visas, tourist visas, work visas, H-1Bs, Ls, E, whatever it may be. All visas are subject to this travel ban if you're a citizen of these countries. Now, in addition to these 12, there's 7 more countries that have a partial travel ban. And those countries are Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, Venezuela. My pronunciation was better on this on the second run reading them. But the bottom line is, if you're from one of these countries, they only have a partial travel ban. What that means is that all immigrant visas are stopped. So what that means is green cards, right? Any green card category, and I'll cover exemptions in a second, are subject to this travel ban. So if you're from one of these countries, any application you're filing, any DS-260 to obtain permanent residence in the United States to get what's called an immigrant visa will no longer work because you're subject to this travel ban. In addition to that, visitor visas, B1 for business visitors, B2 for visitors for pleasure, as well as all student and call it intercultural exchange visas. So all F, M, and J visa issuance is canceled in these countries. However, in these 7 partial travel ban countries, you can still obtain other visas, right? Work visas, whether it's L's, H's, whatever it may be, O visas, you are not banned from those. Now, let's talk about the exemptions, because even though you may be a citizen of one of these countries and are now worried, that does not mean that you will in fact be 100% denied a visa, because you may fall into one of these exemptions. So let's go through these exemptions one by one. So the main exemptions are, first and foremost, U.S. permanent residence, right? If you hold a U.S. green card but you're a citizen of one of these countries, it's not an issue. You can travel on your green card. You're a permanent resident. You're not losing your permanent residence because of this travel ban. This is absolutely critical, because I've had several people already reach out about this. Number 2, U.S. citizens, right? Like if you're a U.S. citizen and you are also a citizen of one of these countries, you're not losing your U.S. citizenship. You're not affected. You can travel as a U.S. citizen when you're re-entering the U.S. Use your U.S. passport, right? So again, U.S. citizens. Additionally, dual citizens, so call it nationals of other countries other than the countries on these lists. So for example, say you have a passport from one of these countries, you're a citizen of one of these countries, but you also have I'm just going to pick a random country, a French passport, right? Well, as a French citizen, you're not subject to the travel ban, so you can apply for all visas as a French citizen on your French passport. So don't forget that, right? So if you have other citizenships, other nationalities, well, you're in effect not going to be impacted by this travel ban. And then finally, immediate relatives of US citizens, right? So these are, your parents, children under 21, and spouses of US citizens are exempt. This is a very protected category, immediate relatives, right? So if you fall into one of these, you will not be subject to this travel ban. If you're applying for a green card, right, as a spouse of a US citizen or a child of a US citizen, you will not be impacted, right? So make sure you review these exemptions because many cases will fall into them. Now, in addition to these, there's some special categories, basically special visas that have been exempted. Now, to be really honest, most of these will be more important for the full travel ban countries rather than the partial travel ban countries, because a lot of these visas are not on the partial travel ban list, which is the visitors and basically students, right? So B, FM, J visas and green cards. But let's go through these special categories, right? So number one, diplomats and officials, right? So this includes, anyone working for consulates of these countries or embassies in the US, also international organizations, also NATO. There's an exemption for those. So it's a special category. If you fall into one of them, you can still obtain those visas, right? An important one is athletes for major sporting events, right? So one that comes to mind immediately is, the World Cup that the US is hosting, and football, soccer World Cup that's coming up. The athletes playing in them are going to be exempt. So even if you're from one of these countries, you can still get visas to come and compete at sporting events in the US. Additionally, refugees and asylees that were, admitted before the travel ban takes effect will not be impacted. So that's a very important one as well. And then adopted children of US citizens, right? So if you're going through adoption but you're a citizen of one of these countries, in most cases, people tend to be younger, so it's more important for the parents to know who are doing the adoption, but just know that that's a firm exemption category. And then in addition to these, there's some very special ones that impact specifically certain countries and certain positions, but I just want to go over them one by one. Certain US government employees abroad, so if you're working for the US government abroad in certain specific specialized jobs, that's an exemption. Iranians fleeing religious persecution is an exemption. Afghan special immigrant visa holders is another exemption. So any one of these, you also are exempt, even though the specific countries are on the list. Now, to kind of talk about what this means more, call it longer term or what you can expect. Last travel ban, when it happened, I worked for the government and I actually had to defend these in court. And basically what happened was, within pretty short time after the travel bans came into effect, basically the executive orders were issued by the administration, a lot of lawsuits started getting filed by various groups, various individuals, trying to prevent these travel bans from actually taking effect. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing started happening here with this current travel ban. We just have to see. So generally speaking, you should, if you are impacted by this, keep on top of it and know what you can expect and who, keep on top of the developments. And I'll do my best to record videos too, but just know what you have to, that it's not going to stay static. There's probably going to be court orders that are impacting them, and this may change over time. But for now, this is the rule. I will try to post more videos clarifying it. And yeah, if there's any questions, put them in the comments and I'll do my best to record videos on them. Thank you so much for watching.